So this was the last thing my patient asked of me before they died. And it kind of changed the way I thought about things, and it really meant a lot to me. So thank you for being here. I'm Dr. Andrea O'Connor, and talking about medical true stories and just stories that have happened throughout my life, which I think is just really interesting. So, I've been around a lot of patients in my decades-long career, and at the time of passing, or even when there's chronic disease and they're not doing well, and maybe there's not a lot of friends or family around, these are the most common things I've had patients ask for. And usually the ones that come to mind are the ones that are actively dying or getting ready to pass away. And, what's really common is, of course, asking for, their loved ones. Where's their daughter, their son, their in-laws, their parents, That, of course, is very common. And they're referring to the living. And, of course, in my other videos, I've talked about how they refer to the dead when they're seeing their loved ones come to get them, a very common theme. Many times patients would ask for, their cell phone because they wanted to call someone for that last time. Or, can someone call a family member to bring their pet down? Is their pet allowed in the hospital or the facility? Those are really common too. I would even have patients ask for religious things like, where's their Bible? Can they have their Bible? And of course, right? My whole thing when I was there was to be able to move mountains for my patients. I wanted to be able to, these were their last days. I wanted to be able to get them whatever they needed. But, a lot of times I felt like my hands were tied because, what could I offer? I can offer medications. Sometimes it is awkward, at least when I was a new nurse, to be like, just to feel like I can invite myself just to hug them or even to touch them. Because, now I have no problem with that. Believe me, I have no problem with that. But I think that the thing that touched me the most was when they would ask this, can you just hold my hand? It kind of makes me want to cry to think of it right now, because the last thing that they wanted on earth, can you just hold my hand? And I wouldn't, a lot of times, like maybe I had seen the patient 3 times, or this was my first time with them, unlike your family, you spent years with them. And it was just the humanity of it. And, when you're in the position of like, say if I'm at the dentist, because I love my dentist, let me just tell you this, but I hate going to the dentist. I don't have the best teeth and I hate going. And that's another thing you can relate to. If you hate going to the dentist, even though I love and trust my dentist, we are completely on the same page, kind of about everything. And I trust him. So whatever we need to get done. But when his assistant just puts her hand on my shoulder or just gives me that reassuring nod, I feel 1,000,000% better. And so I can kind of relate to that. Luckily, I've never been in the position of dying, but nobody wants to be alone when they're dying. And if that's the one thing I could give them is just holding their hand, and so they're not alone and they have someone else with them. What does that tell you? All the money in the world, all the possessions, the fancy cars, the big houses, 100 pairs of shoes, or just that magnificent purse. None of that matters at the end. We all know we're not getting out of here alive, right? And the things you do today, right now, if you can imagine your last days, like what is that last thing you would ask for? Would it be to ask to hold that stranger's hand? Don't get me wrong. That was a gift to me. I was in a place of honor to be able to offer that compassion, kindness, and love, right? At their last moments as they enter the real reality, right? But, it does make me assess the daily. I was watching a video and they were talking about how your soul and spirit, and most likely more, because I've said before that I do believe in God, watches everything you do. And doesn't that put that into perspective just a little bit? Even the daily menial tasks or the things you say to the person at the grocery store or the person at the gas station or your coworker that is kind of annoying. You know what I mean? Or the coworker that you just love. Just like the simple things you say to each other, like your soul and spirit and let's just say God maybe, right? Is watching everything you say and do. And if that doesn't rock your world, that rocks my world. Right? And I kind of think about the stuff that I let get to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, in the greater scheme of things, why am I letting these things that cause me stress and anxiety? And believe me, I still work full time and then some. And stress and anxiety hits me too. Like I'll get stomach upset and I'll get really worried about something. But then I have to think like, in the greater scheme of things, what is that helping? How is that helping another person? It doesn't help at all. And it doesn't mean that anxiety is not real. I mean, sometimes I just want to get under the covers and hide from everybody. I really do. And even doing YouTube, I have to tell you, sometimes I just feel overwhelmed and it's like, I'm just putting too much of myself out there. And it's almost a weird anxiety, embarrassing feeling. And then I want to not be on here for several days. But, I just have to look at like the greater good. If one thing I can say can help spark an idea in something else, or if you can hold the hand of someone that's just requesting some help, maybe not directly physically hold my hand, but you can tell when someone is hinting that they just need you to reassure them, or just putting your hand on that person's shoulder or holding that person's hand. I just think that can move mountains. I really believe that. So what did that patient ask for that I can never forget about? They just asked for someone to be with them. Just the hand, the holding of that hand. I think it's really important to talk about that now because I feel like, and here's my shirt I'm wearing today. I'll show you. Love in America, right? God bless America. Sorry. Rest of the world, love you. So many countries that I love, but I do love my country. I'm not going to say any more than that, but I think it's more important than ever that we offer compassion and kindness and love to one another. And I'm not trying to be preachy. I'm just saying these are the things that are really going through my mind more than ever every day now. It's just getting interesting out there. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share today. I thank you for being here. I read every comment, and 99% of your comments are amazing. And I really want to do a video of just reading all the comments. So thank you for that. Thank you for pouring your heart into the comments. It's wonderful. And if you're feeling the changes of the wind out there, or the vibe is changing out there, please leave a comment below. I want to know that, like, I'm not the only one feeling this, feeling like how important it is to now, like, we need to speak out. We need to not be afraid to say what we love and what we believe in. And part of why the direction of my channel has been changing as of late, because I just don't want to be afraid to speak my mind anymore, afraid of what people think of me in my career. If my patients think I've gone off the deep end, then love them, but they are welcome to go to a different doctor. That's all I can say about that. So again, thank you for being here, and I will see you on the next one.